The next game on our list is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-3, traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts at 2-1. This is a game between two teams that, one team that's really been struggling and grinding it out and trying to figure out their own things in the Colts. And the Jaguars coming off of a loss against the Houston Texans. The Colts are favored in this game by 2 points with an over-under of 42. AJ, with the Jaguars last week and the loss 13-6, what did you see from that? And how did the Jaguars bounce back in this game?
They need to get back on top of the turnover battle. I mean, that's been something that's been an issue, the way they've been turning the ball over the past 2 weeks. You look back when they were winning games, the Jaguars in week 2 and 3, and they were a +5 in the turnover margin. In the past 2 weeks, they're -6 in the last 2 losses. You look at Trevor Lawrence, who's someone we were excited about, who we still know has all the talent in the world, just has to kind of put it all together. We watched him lose the ball, 4 fumbles against the Eagles, 3 interceptions over the past 2 weeks. That can't happen against a Colts team that has some things to play for, if you will, especially in a division matchup where the Colts are know that they got a win they really didn't deserve. I think they're going to come in a little bit stronger. So Trevor Lawrence has to be aware of what's going on against who he's about to play and these guys and Stephon Gilmore and that defense. And then I love Travis Etienne. I love James Robinson. Me and Aaron had a very good conversation about these running backs on the Fantasy Drive. If you missed it, go check it out. But one thing that I remember us talking about was he didn't draft Travis Etienne to replace James Robinson. You drafted it so they can play off of one another. And so far, now over the past couple of weeks that Travis Etienne's been getting the snaps and James Robinson has been downgraded, if you will, I think they need to find a way to make their two skill sets work well together. Because if you don't have to worry about both of them, this pass game is not going to open back up the way we expect it to.
Well, there is one problem with all that. This offensive staff did not draft James or did draft Travis Etienne, but I do understand what you're saying. I do like that what you said, because we're seeing it in Dallas right now. We're seeing it with the Cowboys and what they're doing with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. That's like the exact recipe right there that you need to implement in Jacksonville with your Travis Etienne and your James Robinson. I think that, and it's huge for the growth of Trevor Lawrence as well. You're giving him that extra pad in the back that allows him to say, okay, now I can be free, a little bit more free when it comes to passing, and it makes defenses have to consider that run. On the Colts side of things, Aaron, last week they had that thrilling Thursday night football game against the Broncos that they ended up squeaking out the win. Obviously not a whole lot of great to take away from that game, but there has to be something, right? There has to be something. What did the Colts do right in that game that you think they need to carry over to this game? Or is it just something that, like, they didn't do anything right and they got to start somewhere? What do the Colts need to do in this game to get the win, basically?
That game is exactly what last night's game was. Like, the team that won the game, the Colts didn't have really anything positive coming out of the game other than they won the game. Similar to the Commanders did last night. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor being on the field is a huge part of what the Colts want to do, and they want to be this run-first football team. But to me, they have to fix this offensive line. They have to get that right, because Matt Ryan is a statue. And if you have a statue at quarterback and you can't protect him, it's going to force him to be in mistake and turnover prone. So it's what we've seen. Colts leading the league in turnovers and stuff like that. That's a problem. You can't turn the football over. First of all, we've seen this matchup. We saw this matchup a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't close. It was an absolute embarrassment of the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, it was in Jacksonville, but this Jacksonville defense isn't getting worse. This Jacksonville defense is 5th in the league in scoring defense, only allowing 16 points a game. They're doing exactly what I expected them to do this week or this year defensively, which is be the most improved defense in the NFL. And they're creating turnovers. They're flying around the football. They're young. They have energy. It's a different face of what Jacksonville's used to, well, really since the Jalen Ramsey days of the 2017 years. So I think the Colts are going to have to come in and find a way to establish the run. In a matter of, I think, 2 weeks, the Jaguars went from one of the worst run defenses to a top 10 run defense, by yards yards allowed. Like, that's how quick it happened, because there was a little bit of a sample size. They're now not giving up as many rush yards. They're only giving up a little less than 100 yards a game on the ground, which is top 10 in the NFL. This defense is better than they've been in a long time. The Colts have to find a way to run the football, control the clock, and then on defense put pressure on Trevor Lawrence and make him feel uncomfortable to make mistakes. But with no Shaq Leonard, it's hard to do. We can gauge the Colts defense on the Broncos, but their offense wasn't really doing much. So it's going to be tough for the Colts here. I'm not sold that this Colts defense or this Colts team is going to bounce back. I really don't like what I've seen from their offense.
I think it's huge to get Jonathan Taylor back. Obviously, when you get one of the best players in the game back, that's a big addition. But we've seen it in the past. We saw with what Damian Harris was able to do last week, and we saw it the week prior when the Eagles were able to run on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you said their rush defense has been good, but over the past 2 weeks, it has not been all that great. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of that's the way you're going to be able to. Not necessarily that's the way you're going to be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that's the way the Colts should be winning games. Talk about hero ball and Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan's out here trying to do too much. The offensive line has not been able to protect him, and he's also a statue back there, like you said. But it is going to be huge for them to get back into the ground and pound, give Jonathan Taylor the ball, and then let Matt Ryan just throw it when he needs to throw it, rather than just throwing it all the time in the game.
You didn't think that now the Philly game was obviously because it was a slop fest, and that was tough for them. I thought they defended the run really well against the Texans. Like they had, there was a couple of runs where Dameon Pierce, who was hard to tackle, got loose. But if you told me at the end of the day that a number one back's going 27 carries for barely 100 yards, I'll take that. Your offense didn't move the ball, so there's going to be 27 carries. Eventually, those numbers are going to add up. They're not giving up 7 yards per carry like that. That's what I'm worried about, is getting gashed on the ground. That's what demoralizes a team. But if that's 27 carries for 99 yards, I'll sign up for that every day of the week. Yeah,
they're not getting gashed like they used to when Derrick Henry used to just stiff arm everyone and go for 99 on one play. Like that's not happening with the Jaguars team anymore. But I do think that they can be ran on. I think that Jonathan Taylor can have success against this defense. And also, you brought up the little note, and we'll get into our predictions after this. The fact that the defense was on the field a whole lot for the Jacksonville Jaguars because this offense was like that. That's the key really to beating this Jaguars team right now, is making that offense, the Jaguars offense, just turn the ball over, turnovers on downs, like get them off the field and control this game on offense for the Colts. That's the key, because this defense that's what happened with the Texans last week. They weren't like scoring a lot. They only scored 13 points. The defense did good for the Jags, but they were on the field so much, and you just wear them down. That's what can be had in this game. I do lean the Jaguars here. I'm going to go with the Jaguars 26-23. I think it's a closer game. I think Jonathan Taylor does make a difference and keeps it tight. But the Jaguars get the win. I think the Jaguars sweep the Colts this time this year, which hasn't happened in a while. I'll have to go back and look at the stat. Hopefully it happens. But the Jaguars do win this game 26-23 in my eyes. Bounce back day for Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson on the offensive side. I think they get Christian Kirk involved a little bit more. We've seen him struggle the past 2 weeks. Again, the Eagles game is a slop fest, but not a great week from him last week. I think Christian Kirk bounces back. Jaguars offense bounces back 26-23. Aaron?
Oh, you must have said something to me. I froze. You guys got to recognize my freeze. You guys got to recognize my freeze moments. And AJ, you got to jump in.
I thought I saw it, but literally when you asked you moved right immediately. So I was like, oh, he's good.
Also, normally when like we send it to you or you freeze or something, your words follow very quickly. And
I didn't know who you were sending it to next because you hadn't finished your soliloquy about how the Jaguars are going to win before I heard. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll go mine next. I also have the Jags. I have them 31-16. There's no way the Colts are scoring 23 points. This Colts offense is bad. Matt Ryan's a statue. They can't block. Despite Jacksonville's defense being on the field a lot last game, they still almost doubled the yardage of the Houston Texans. They just could not find ways to score points. I think that's different this week. The Jaguars are still for real. The Jaguars are still a good football team. I still think they have a chance to get into the playoffs this year because of that defense. I told you at the beginning of the season, they are young, so they are going to lose games that they should win just because of some young mistakes and stuff like that. 31-16 Jaguars. Sweep the Colts for the first time when Vinny tells you how long it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like we got a three-way here. I am also going with the Jags.
It's not gay.
Ew. Let's remove.
Oh, whoa, he removed him. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Now it's just a two-way.
Got me in the corner watching. You guys suck.
It's not gay. It's a three-way.
I got the Jags. I think this will be a low game. I expect some of the turnover problems to continue on the Jaguar side of the ball. Yeah, I'm going with some scorigami here.
18-14. When was the last? You know what? Go ahead.
Was that scorigami
here?
Yeah.
Probably. I'm guessing. I don't
actually
come
on.
know that.
You can't just say it's a scorigami and not know if it's a scorigami. What are you doing?
I would have gone and researched the scorigami score and be like, I want that one. That's not what I did.
You've had this prediction for 2 days.
Yeah, but I wasn't dwelling on it. I'm not a Jaguar fan like you. You're probably sitting at home like, man, that 23-17 really looks good every minute, every day. I'm not. I thought that it's going to be a sloppy game from the Jags and he's going to turn the ball over. I know it's going to be a sloppy game from Matt Ryan. He's going to fumble 3 more times. I know the defense of the Colts will force them into some mistakes. Stephon Gilmore's a dude. Low score, not great. 18-14.
18-14 is not a scorigami.
18-14. See? There you go.
18-14. It's happened 5 times. The last game that it happened actually featured the Colts. The last time that a game ended 18-14, the Colts defeated the Niners 18-14 November 1st in 2009.
19-14.
That is also not a scorigami. The closest scorigami from that in that realm is 22-18. Has never happened before.
Really?
And
wild.
20 and
not really wild, actually.
18-11 has never happened before.
That makes
scorigamis
sense.
are a lot. We're not going to get into this. I don't want to jump down this rabbit hole of scorigamis.